Afternoon, everyone. We're going to let folks filter in here for another minute since we've just opened up the waiting room. So we'll get started in about 45 seconds. See that number still climbing. Let me give it a couple more seconds and then we'll get started. Okay, looks like we're evening out. So, with that, welcome to our initial LPAC overview Q&A today. I am Arlene Dendolk, Director of the LPAC programming at Sacramento County Office of Education, or SCOE. And facilitating with me today is Carla, also from SCOE. If you can't see her right now, don't worry, you will see her in a few minutes. We also have several folks on with us today that are helping behind the scenes, who are here to listen to your questions and help provide some answers. So we have colleagues from SCOE, from ETS, and from the California Department of Education. We're really happy to have this opportunity to meet with you and answer any questions that you have. And I want to give you an overview of our time together because for those of you that are on the coffee sessions regularly, our Q&As are a little bit different in format. So I want to make sure people don't feel like they're not being heard or their questions aren't being answered. So our Q&A is really a combination of an informal, like an informational presentation, and then a question and answer session. So we are keeping track of your questions behind the scenes. You are putting your questions in that Q&A feature for us. We are copying and pasting them behind the scenes so that we can get them to the right person to answer them. And we're going to do this as Carla and I go through a little bit of information. And we are going to do our best to answer all of your questions live. So you should expect a verbal response, which I know requires some patience. Um, so don't expect an answer to be typed into the Q&A. Await a verbal response from us. Now, if we don't answer your question or if we run out of time, those things happen. Don't worry. Two things. We are going to post a Q&A PDF in Moodle probably about a week after this session, along with the recording of today's session. So if we don't know your answer, if we can't answer a question today for whatever reason, we will make sure it gets in that PDF in Moodle and it will be answered. Okay. And always, I'll remind you of this at the end, or Carla will remind you of this at the end. If you have questions and they don't get answered, you can always email us at lpac@scoe.net. So, with that, when you're writing your question, please be very specific about the context. We're going to read your question aloud. And sometimes the same question, or many of you ask the same type of question. So we might paraphrase that a little bit, right? And we need to know about we need good context about what you're asking. So if you write something like, I missed what Arlene just said, we won't know what that's about. So if you miss what I just said, but you remember a little bit of it, like then say, I missed what Arlene just said about verification. Repeat that, please. And we'll be happy to do that when we get there. Like I said, we are recording this, and the recording of this and the questions and answered will be posted in the question and answer section of the initial LPAC trainers resources course. So for initial LPAC, we have two trainers resources courses. That's a tongue twister. writing and speaking. And so the recording of this and the Q&A will be posted there. We do not provide a note-taking guide because we are going to basically be going over information that is in our What's New video. So we're going to hit some highlights from that video. We're not going to review the whole video. You should go watch it, but we're going to hit some highlights. It's already there and in Moodle for you. So don't look for a note-taking guide. One doesn't exist. All right, can you go to the next slide, please, Dina? So let's take a look at our agenda today. So there's a couple things we're going to hit, like I said, that are all in our What's New, our initial ELPAC What's New video. We're definitely focusing on the initial ELPAC today. If you have questions about the summative, you should go ahead and email those to us. Or if you want to put them in the Q&A, we might not answer them verbally today, but we'll include them in that document later that we post. So these are the things we're going to cover today. We're going to look at some updates for the initial ELPAC. Specifically, we're going to talk about the verification process, the certification deadline, calibration quizzes, getting your certificate for test examiner calibration, our new Moodle training decision tool, some resource materials that are out there, and then some new ELPAC resources. And after Carl and I do all that, we're going to do a question and answer session. Now we're making some assumptions today. So we assume that most of you who are attending are LEA coordinators or head ELPAC trainers. We assume you have Moodle accounts, you know how to access Moodle, you have your access code and enrollment keys. If any of that is not true, then please email us at moodlesupport@scoe.net. And one of my SCOE friends is putting that in the chat right now. So you have that email, moodlesupport@scoe.net. All right, next slide, please, Dina. Let's jump right in. So our first update, I think, is going to make many of you very happy, especially if you are the LEA coordinator at your LEA who's responsible for certifying. Because the initial ELPAC has not changed since last year, the 25-26 administration, LEA coordinators no longer need to complete that LEA certification annually if they certified in the previous year. However, new coordinators do need to certify for the 26-27 administration. So in just a minute, Jackie's going to take us over to the AST site so you can see what that verification process looks like. No matter if you're new or experienced, all LEA coordinators need to log on to the Administration and Scoring Training or AST website to verify that the training has been met. Okay, and again, like I said, we're going to look at that in just a moment. So even though LEA coordinators can verify that they have completed certification last year, this does not apply to test examiner calibration. Test examiners still need to calibrate for speaking and writing, and I'm going to repeat that when we're done. Okay, so on your screen right now is the Administration and Scoring website, or we call it the AST site. This is the place you go to get your Moodle keys, okay? And on the screen, you can see there's a box for an access code. You were emailed this access code. LEA coordinators were emailed this access code, I believe April 20th, but someone can ping me and tell me I'm wrong and I'll correct that. And again, if you don't have that access code and you're an LEA coordinator, email us at moodlesupport@scoe.net. So when you're on the AST site, you're going to enter your access code and it is going to open up and take you to the page that lists the different programs here. So you can see there's two that say initial. You want the one that says initial ELPAC training verification, okay? When you select that button, it takes you to a page where up at the top left, there is a red or orange or pink training required button. That means someone has to verify that training has been done. Okay, so this is our SCOE page. Our person who's responsible for this is Jadine. So Jadine, she certified last year. She took care of it in 25, 26. She's still the LA coordinator. She doesn't have to certify again. She doesn't have to go into the LA certification course in Moodle and watch the videos. She needs to come here and select the button next to her name. And when she does, it's going to change to training current from training required. And that is all. Okay. Now, if Jadine was new, she would need to go to Moodle, take the LA certification, watch the videos, take the check for understanding quizzes, and then still come here and select that she finished her training. Okay. So if you have questions about that, don't worry, we'll answer them. So if you have questions about that, put it in the chat. We can come back to this later. But this is the verification process. This is where you go to do it. And all LEAs must have at least one person currently active who completed the LEA certification course, either that are new and are doing it now or did it last year. Okay. Now, before we leave this page, it's very small, at least it's very small on my screen, but up above where the green line is, where Jadine's line, there's a little box that says, see, it's really even hard for me to read, but it's the MOU box. And it says, MOU on file with SCOE will be updated by SCOE staff. If you are an LEA that has an MOU with another LEA to perform or to do your LPAC testing, you need to send us at SCOE that MOU, that Memorandum of Understanding with that other LEA. And once you do that, we will go in here and we will check that box for you that says an MOU is on file and you are good to go. Okay. Um, let's go on to the next slide. So back to Dina. Here we go. Now, LEA certification needs to be done by August 10th. Okay. Again, if you did it last year and that person, that LA coordinator or that designee is still in their active role, by August 10th, you need to go into the AST site and check that training completed button next to your name or check the active next to your name. So it switches to training complete. If the annual training certification is not completed by August 10th, the LA may be subject to a tier 2 audit. And regular communication is going to be sent to LA coordinators throughout the spring and summer of 2026, reminding you of this certification deadline. Okay, so you will get reminders about it. Next slide, please. Now, remember I said LEA coordinators get to go verify if they certified last year, but test examiners still need to calibrate annually. So, test examiners, we have done something that I think will make you happy. Within the calibration quizzes, if you get to the end of the calibration quiz and you haven't passed it for whatever reason, in the past, you used to have to like go take the whole thing again, right? And listen to all 10 student responses or however many it was with the quiz you were in. No longer the case. Now, if you do not pass a calibration quiz, at the end of the quiz, there's a page and it says that you didn't pass. It gives you your score, and there's a button that says retry. There's always been a retry button. Now, when you select that retry button, it is going to return you to only the items that you didn't get correct. So you don't have to rescore all of the responses again. You will only have to rescore the ones that you did not get correct the first time around. So we're really excited about this. We hope you are excited about this to save you some time and make this calibration process more efficient. Now, the only calibration quiz this does not apply to is talk about a scene, but that one's pretty short already. Okay. And next slide. Oh, and Carla, it's going to be your turn.
It's
Okay,
my
bye guys. I'm
turn.
handing it over to Carla.
Thanks, Arlene. Well, I'd like to share a positive update regarding the certificate that you receive upon completion of calibration. Those certificates will no longer be sent via email. What was happening is we were hearing from the field that they weren't receiving their certificates by email. We don't know if they were going into their spam email or if the district hadn't whitelisted our email address, they weren't receiving them. So it was becoming a bit of a problem. So one of our team members had the idea to make it downloadable. So now test examiners will be able to download it directly by selecting the Get Certificate button. As soon as you select that Get Certificate, it'll go to downloads and you can grab it from there. This enhancement allows the test examiners to access their certificate immediately. That way you don't have to wait for it to be sent through the system. So we hope that you'll feel that that's a positive improvement. Next slide, Dina. Okay, our next update in Moodle is one that we're also thrilled to share with you. This one is going to sound familiar to you because it actually became live with this year's summative ELPAC administration. In response to your feedback, we created the Moodle training decision tool. And this quick and easy tool is intended to help test examiners and coordinators determine where to go and what needs to be completed in Moodle for training and certification, no matter what your role. So Jackie is over here taking us to the Moodle website. So when you select the 2026-27 initial ELPAC course on the main Moodle webpage, you'll be directed to all the courses, and you're going to pick the initial ELPAC training courses. And on this, landing page right here, you will see the Moodle training decision tool link right above. She's hovering over that. So select the link and this will get you started. So here you're going to fill in some information, answer a few short questions with your contact information, your role, and the grade levels or grade spans that you'll be testing. And if you have more than one role in your LEA, you're going to select all the roles that apply to you. So right here, Jackie is selecting all the grade levels for her LEA. And then she is receiving down below, you can see the link to the course that needs to be completed. So based on your responses, the system is generating this link to the specific training and certification required for you based on what you selected as your responses. And then once you complete it, you will be sent a personalized PDF with all the training and certification details that you need directly to the email address that you included. So it's that easy. And it's quick and really helpful. And it's not meant to replace the checklist, the Moodle checklist. You can use the decision-making tool first, and then use the checklist, which guides you through the course. So I would use them both. I think you'll find them both to be helpful. Okay, let's go back to the slides, and let's go to the next slide, Dina. So we're going to switch topics here. We're going to talk about resource documents for the initial ELPAC, the Directions for Administration, or DFAs. These documents were all updated for the 2025-2026 administration. And again, because the initial ELPAC is not changing, the DFAs will remain unchanged. The DFAs will continue to be posted in Moodle as draft documents, and then they'll be uploaded to the Test Operations Management System, or TOMS, before the test administration window opens. This means that if you still have the initial ELPAC DFAs that you printed last year, you can use them again for the 2026-27 initial ELPAC administration. In terms of test materials, LEAs that are not designated for the rotating score validation process or RSVP, you can continue to use unused K-2 writing answer books. Now, the preparing for administration or PFA documents do have some updates, but because these updates are so minor, you can continue to use the 2025-26 version if you printed it for the last test administration. And then just as a reminder, you can't administer the initial ELPAC with these materials. So make sure that they're available to you. Next slide, Dina. Next slide. Yeah. So this also means that last year's training binder can be reused. To be sure that you have the correct version, the copyright of each binder section includes a sentence stating that as of 2025, the initial ELPAC training binder can be reused for training in subsequent initial ELPAC administration years. So make sure you have that one with that 2025 copyright. We are making some minor updates to section 14 only, and these updates provide the most current versions of the following documents: how to view overall test results, how to compare test results, and how to view test results for student groups. And to get the latest versions, go to the Trainers Resources course to access section 14. You can get it there. And remember that if you print any of these test materials, you can hang on to them to use them again, but be sure that you've stored the materials securely. All right. Next slide. So our last updates are about 2 new resources for ELPAC trainers. The first is the initial ELPAC training suggestions document. This document is designed to support ELPAC trainers by providing training suggestions for each of the initial ELPAC task types. It's a really helpful document. These training suggestions, which are also included in the corresponding binder sections, have been put together into one single resource to facilitate ease of use. We want to make it easy for you to just have all the information in one document. So this consolidated format helps trainers efficiently navigate the ELPAC resources and determine the most effective way to structure training for your test examiners. Now, the second resource is an answer key for all the Talk About a Scene calibration, for the Talk About a Scene calibration quizzes. And we're going to break away here to the Moodle website. So the training suggestions resources located in the Trainer Resources Speaking course in Moodle. So that's where Jackie is taking us right now. And then if you scroll down to the considerations for training section, you'll see the document right there, and it's noted with the word new in front of it. So that way it'll catch your attention. And then it's also located down below in the introduction and test administration section. And it's, again, has the new word in front of it, so you can easily find it. And then the answer keys for Talk About a Scene are further down in the Talk About a Scene section, and it's right there. New calibration quizzes, answer keys, Talk About a Scene, kindergarten through 12. Yeah, so all of them in all sections, it's indicated by the word new. Okay. And now, go to the next slide, Dina. We're going to go to the question and answer section. And actually, we're going to start with Tracy Albee and her team. Tracy is an administrator in the assessment division at the California Department of Education. So we'll start with a few ELPAC policy questions, and then we'll come back to some training and test administration, scoring questions. Little by little, we'll be getting through your questions in the next 33 minutes. All right, Tracy, the first one is, should K to 2 writing books be sorted by school, or can they be grouped by grade levels? For example, all kindergarten, all first grade, and all second grade.
First of all, you should always follow the directions that are included in your site coordinator kits, but it's important that you sort each grade level by the school, but you can have multiple schools within the same box. Does that make sense? So you should have a school group list for each grade level set of answer books, and they should be bound together with the paper bands, but you can have multiple schools, all the first grades ones in there, but they have to be sorted by school. And then you can, again, you don't have to have all the same schools within the same box, but they do need to be sorted by school to ensure that there is a check against the school group list code against what is on the answer books. So when they are scanned, in case something was bubbled in incorrectly or whatever, they have that ability to double check.
Awesome, great. Tracy, the next question is there a designated timeline between when we must do the RSVP, or is it random? I thought I read it at one time every 4 or 5 years, but I can't find that information anymore.
Thanks. So larger LEAs may be selected more often than others, but only 10% of our LEAs in schools are selected each year to participate in the RSVP. LEAs are selected annually on the basis of a representative sample from each geographical region to participate. So the smaller schools, all of the students in your school will participate, but we have, I believe it's 4 or 5 large LEAs that participate every year, and they have a subset of schools that are selected for their RSVP.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm going to give you one more, and then we'll go over to Arlene. When a student comes in May and takes the initial, do they need to take the summative before the end of the year, even if it's the following week or, even a couple days later? Example, a new first grader starting school this week. It takes a few days to get an SSID number and then a couple days more to get into the ELPAC system. The school year ends in 4.5 weeks. If the student finally gets to take the initial ELPAC next week, do we have to administer the summative ELPAC to the student before the end of the 4 weeks, which is the end of their school year?
Thank you. The answer is yes. If you test and complete the initial ELPAC and the student is identified as an English learner within the summative window, which ends May 31st, then you must also administer the summative ELPAC. Now, the initial ELPAC also goes through June 30th. So if you finish testing after May 31st, then you would not have to administer the summative, but we always encourage you to complete all the testing within your instructional year this year.
Thank you, Tracy. We'll come back to you in a little bit. Arlene, as a new LEA coordinator for our ELPAC, what, if any, Moodle trainings would be recommended? We also have our own test examiner. What is required to take?
Okay, so if you are a new LEA coordinator, you will need to go to Moodle and complete an LEA certification course. And I'm wondering, Jackie, are you able to take us to Moodle right now and show us that LEA certificate or those LEA certification courses? If you've never been out on Moodle, we'll walk you through that. I'll give Jackie a second. So Jackie has some other access than you do, but when you log in, you are going to see they'll see LPAC at the top, and then right under LPAC is the 26-27 initial LPAC training resources. Select that link, and it will take you to the 26-27 initial LPAC training page where there will be 5 courses. So, 2 of the courses, the second and third course, and your view might look a little different when mine comes up. They come up in a row. Sometimes they come across. So don't worry if yours looks a little different from this. You can manipulate the Moodle view. Um, but the 2 LEA certification courses are there for you to choose which one best matches your LEA. So there's the kindergarten through grade 12 LEA for LEAs that are kindergarten through grade 12. And there is a grade 6 through 12 LEA certification course for those LEAs who are junior high or just high school LEAs. So select the course that works for you. When you are on the course or when you're in the course, this is what LEA certification is. There's another question that says, what does certify mean? Certify means to complete this LEA certification. And what that's made up of are several videos. And again, it depends on which course you're in, how many videos there are. But there is a video and then a check for understanding quiz. So when you complete all of those videos and check for understanding quizzes, then down at the bottom, there is a LEA cert, like this is the K-12, so K-12 LEA certificate. When you select that LEA certification, it's really hard to say those together. LEA certificate of completion. When you select that, your certificate will be downloaded to your computer, and then you are done with your certification. You have certified, and that's when you're going to head over to the AST website and you're going to log in with that access code that was emailed to you on April 20th, I think, and you're going to click that or select that box next to your name that you have certified. That's what we call verification on the AST website. Now, test examiners, Jackie, would you take us back to that landing page with the different courses? Sorry, one it's there we go. For test examiners need to go into the test examiner training and calibration course. By the way, everyone needs an enrollment key to get into each of these courses, and the enrollment keys are different for each course. Back on that AST site with your access code where you're going to verify, there's another button that says Initial Moodle. That is where you're going to find enrollment keys. And if you are the LEA coordinator, you are responsible for providing those enrollment keys to your test examiners and your trainers so they can get into the courses that they need to get into. So test examiners are going to get their enrollment key. They're going to come here and they're going to select the test examiner training and calibration course. This course is organized by grade level and grade span. So you need to know what LPAC, grade level and grade spans, you are going to be administering to figure out which section to go to. Let's say, I know for some of you at charter schools out there, you are doing LPAC testing across the board, K-12. You would need to complete 2 of these calibration certification sections. You would complete the K-5 combined calibration section because that's for folks that are testing in kindergarten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even if you're testing in kindergarten, grade 2, grade 5, this is the course, this is the calibration you want to take. And then if you are also doing upper grades, we have a 612. Now, if you need help figuring out where you need to certify, first you need to talk to your LA coordinator and learn what grades you will be testing. And then if you go here and you still can't figure it out, send us an email and we can help you decide what the best arrangement of calibration you should do. On that test examiner page, there's 2 different sections. There's a training section and a calibration section. The calibration section is required, and the training section, that is up to the LEA to decide what of the training section test examiners need to complete. Okay. That is it. Would you like me to do the next question, Carla? That was a long.
Yes, that was in a part of
Okay.
the presentation,
Um,
but it's a good reminder.
Yeah, I think that this question was already answered by Tracy, but I'll answer it again. Will you be able to use the current, so right now, the 25-26 kindergarten through grade two initial LPAC student booklets for the 26-27 year? And the answer is yes. So the student booklets that they're referring to are the writing answer books that are just for kindergarten grade one or grade two LPAC. If you are not in RSVP district, and you can reuse those, not reuse, don't use one that a student used last year. You can use leftover ones from last year for next year's, I shouldn't say last year, for this year, the 25-26 booklets, you can use those for the 26-27 administration because nothing has changed for those.
Right. All right. Thanks, Arlene. I'm going to jump over to a Tom's technical question now. We'll come back to you later. We are getting two different completion rates from Tom's and from the completion status system. Tom's will say we have a lower percent complete, whereas the completion status system has us at 100%. Any reason why this might be happening for us? Is that ETS that's going to answer, or Tracy?
I can answer that question since I'm the one who put the answer in. I'm not
Thank
sure.
you, Tracy.
Sorry. I'm trying to remember what question where that is. Okay.
Right here at
Um,
the top of the Tom's.
Thank you. So the completion status report, which is where it's sort of how can I say, it's sort of more real time that things are being updated within a short period of time after tests are being completed in the test completion status report in what's called TIDE. So those rates are showing much more higher because that information is being updated more like in real time. Our TOMS reports are based on the previous day test completion rates. Also, TOMS doesn't show completion rates for speaking until the data entry interface scores have been entered. Additionally, writing scores may show differently in the completion status reports compared to TOMS, because until the scores come in from the answer books being scored, those tests will show not yet received. But I think they have a different terminology, and please forgive me, I don't remember what if it's like received Tyler or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there are some slight differences between the two. It's kind of hard to nail down exactly all the differences you might see depending on
Yeah, there's a
um
lot of differences because of our paper pencil administration and how those things work together.
yeah, and the way the DEI entry is like represented slightly like as an additional test in the completion status system, or also called TIDE, like you mentioned,
Mhm.
Tracy. So that kind of shows up a little bit differently, but basically yeah, like you said, the most up-to-date information is going to be in the completion status system, also called TIDE. But if you're seeing a little bit of a discrepancy and you want to be sure that you're seeing exactly the right thing, make sure to contact your success agent, and they should be able to walk you through exactly the difference that you're seeing. But for the most part, yeah, Tom's will be a little bit behind that other system when you're pulling those reports through Tom's. Um, but yeah, if you're seeing like the 100% in completion status system, like this person said, but not in Tom's, it might just be because of what students you're seeing or those different domain pieces. So contact your success agent just to make sure that there's um, nothing wrong there.
Oh, and
With the
Tyler,
percent.
one of the attendees said that the word is hand scoring. or something that's in there now. So thank you
Yeah.
for that term. I just couldn't remember. I was like, I can't remember what they called it.
Yeah, and we sent out an email a little while back about this that
Mhm.
the completion status system is showing that hand scoring status for tests and domains that don't
Have been
necessarily need
received.
local scoring,
Hmm.
right? That hand scoring status is just um, for certain tests, it just means that it's being processed behind the scenes that ETS is doing scoring, or it's just going through quality control steps. So yeah, that you don't need to worry about those tests as long as like the actual test is submitted.
Okay. And Tyler, Tracy, I'll give you the next one.
Yeah.
When I received the action needed, update LPAC student eligibility and CalPADS emails, what is the actual action that is needed? Sometimes when I review these notices for our returning migrant students, the notice seems to conflict with the last IEP for the student. That might be a Tracy question.
It's really to do with when the test settings have changed, right, Tyler? And they conflict with a completed test to what is currently happening, or some sort of test settings have changed between the first and the last one. I know that
Yeah,
it's
I'm
just
not sure
tricky.
exactly what email they're getting because there might be a few different Tom's automated emails that are being triggered here, and it's possible too that like yeah, those emails are getting triggered before a status is updated and then it's fixed, but you still got that email at some point. So yeah, like you mentioned, yeah, I would definitely just make sure to reach out to your success agent to make sure that there's nothing going on there with those students, but I'd need a few more details to be sure exactly what's going on there. Um, But
Okay.
there's several different Tom's automatic emails that you might get just based on when a student's, yeah, either test settings have changed or test assignment is conflicting with some other status that the student has.
Okay. Tyler, I'm going to give you one more
No
here.
problem.
All right. Turning through it. If we have syncing set up, does SACE integrate with TOMS for alternate testing and domain exemptions in addition to the settings, or is it just the settings?
Yeah, good question. So there is a feature in Tom's now where you can set up an integration between a student information system, as well as SACE, which is a special education information system that most folks use. But all it syncs is test settings, aka accessibility resources. It does not transfer over any test assignments or domain exemptions. So test assignments and domain exemptions still need to be entered directly into TOMS.
Okay, thank you. We'll come back to you in a bit. Back to you, Arlene. Um, if I'm both the LEA coordinator and an LPAC test examiner, what training do I need to complete, please?
Such a good question. So if you
Use
are
the
both,
decision tool can help.
the decision to, yes, go use the Trinity
Yes,
decision tool.
yes.
I should have been like saying that the whole time. Um, go to that Moodle Training Decision tool, select that you're the coordinator and the test examiner, and it'll come up what you need to take. But I'll tell you right now, since you asked. So you need to complete an LEA certification. So one of those two, right? Either K-12 or 612 LEA certification. And you need to go to the test examiner training and calibration course and complete whatever grades level, grade span, or combination that matches what you're testing. And that is where the decision tool is primo. Like if you can put in your test examiner and you're testing grade 2, 6, 9, 12, and it'll tell you exactly what you should complete. There's no guesswork there. But yes, if you are the coordinator and a test examiner, you do have to do both. If you're
Yes.
so, I think I got that question twice, maybe. So hopefully I've answered it for each person who has asked it today.
Okay, and then this next one says it will be for your LEA. It will be very helpful if the LEA has access to the staff certificate to keep record of who has completed the training.
Yes. So
Definitely.
we cannot email the coordinator, the test examiner's certificate. But what you can do is you can I'm going to use the word register, but that sounds a little weird. You can set up reporting access in Moodle as the LEA coordinator. You can set that up for you and up to three other people. Did I get that wrong? A total of three people. It's one of those reporting access. So you can go into the test examiner course in Moodle and see who has completed training or who has started training or what they've done. Now, we're not going to demonstrate that right now because it does take a little while. However, there is a video out on the CAASPP and ELPAC website on the coordinator how-to hub that walks you through how to get reporting access in Moodle and how to view test examiners calibration completion. I'm going to put a link to that video in the chat. But like I said, there's out on the LPAC and CASP website or the CASP and LPAC website, there's a coordinator how-to hub. And if
Mhm.
you scroll down to the LPAC section, there's a video on just this
Yeah,
very thing.
it's brand new this year, so it was just recently posted.
Yes.
Yes. All right, one more for you, Arlene, then we'll pop over to others. Will the
Okay.
2025-26 booklets also be used during the 2027-28 school year?
At this time, we are not planning on that. So
Okay.
don't assume the answer is yes.
Okay, thank you. Tracy, I'm going back to you. We have a new student who needs to take the initial LPAC. They're in the process of an initial IEP and will be assigned the alternate assessments. Due to all the tests needed, the IEP is being held on our last day of school, which is before the 30 calendar day clock to give the initial and have the IEP. Can we give the initial alternate LPAC when they attend summer school, or do we have to wait until the beginning of the school year?
So, yes, the initial LPAC and the initial alternate LPAC may be given through to June 30th, 2026, as long as it's within the 30 calendar day timeline. There are options for both in-person and remote, depending on the student's grade level for the initial LPAC. However, the initial alternate LPAC is one-on-one and cannot be administered remotely. So the student would have to be brought in to assess. It's also important to note that the student must be assessed with the initial LPAC with available universal tools or designated supports before the 30 calendar days if the IEP has not been completed. So for whatever reason, if you are unable to get that IEP done, then you will need to administer the initial LPAC. Do you want me to do the next one, Carla? Did we lose her?
Oh, I think we lost her. Tracy, would you go ahead and do the next one, please?
The question is, if you were part of the RSVP this year for 25-26, can you reuse your K2 booklets? And the answer is yes. The RSVP answer books could be reused in the year after your RSVP has been completed. There are no differences. And we had the same questions, but when will districts know if they are a part of the RSVP? Those districts have already been notified if they have been selected, but we have provided a link to the RSVP page on the CAASPP and ELPAC website in there. And so in Moodle, it'll be there unless you want me to put it in the chat or something like that.
Okay. Thank you, Tracy. Hey, Tyler, back to you. Can you answer that question about how do LEAs get summer SSIDs assigned to new students for summer initial testing?
Yeah, so um, basically, yeah, you'll need to uh, submit pre-enrollments in CalPads first. So that's kind of the first step with new students coming into the system. Is that once they're in CalPads, they'll get SSIDs generated, I believe. Um, because this is a little more heavy on the CalPad side, I don't know
The
exactly all
cut.
the details of timing, but yeah, Tracy, maybe you can add some more.
So the easiest thing to do is refer to the CalPad Splash 279, and it goes through step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 for you. It goes through each step that you need to do. But technically, you have to create an enrollment start date that is equal to the expected first day of school, but your ELAS date will be the date that the student is enrolling for the summer. And
Right.
so there's just a lot of different things that you need to do in there, but it goes through and describes step by step what you need to do in order to get that information and to generate your SSID for the summer. Pre-enrollments are available in July and August only. And then after that, then we only allow current enrollments to be processed.
And I just put that link to that CalPads Flash webpage in the chat for folks that
Mhm.
Tracy was referring to.
Awesome.
And we do encourage you to test during the summer to alleviate that stress on teachers and students at the beginning of the school year.
Yes. Tyler, can you tackle it's not quite the next one. Do test examiners have access to students for testing to administer the test? Which role is the best one?
Yeah, so the question mentioned used the words test administrator, so I'll go over the fact that there is a difference between test administrators or TAs, we say sometimes, and test examiners or TEs. So generally, test administrators are the role that you would give folks who are doing the summative CAASPP testing, the general CAASPP test, ELA, math, and science, or the CSA, California Spanish Assessment. Those are, that role requires folks to be trained, of course, and to sign the security agreements, but uh, not necessarily do a Moodle training. Test examiners are the folks that administer the ELPAC tests. There's also a CAASPP test examiner role if you're doing the CAASPP alternate assessments or the CAAs. So generally, for the ELPAC, if once folks complete the required training in Moodle, or if there's some other training that you do at your LEA, then you can assign folks as a test examiner, and then that role will have all of the access that they need um, to administer the LPAC to eligible students, and they'll be able to see student information that are assigned to them.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler. Hey, Jackie, I'm going to throw it over to you to answer a couple questions about Moodle. Um, I'm a new LEA coordinator and I already did Moodle for the 26-27 a few weeks ago. Nonetheless, only my predecessor's name appears in the AST site. When will they be updated?
So that should be updated by tomorrow afternoon. So definitely go back and check. If you still don't see your name appear, please email us at moodlesupport@scoe.net and we'll be happy to help you.
And staying there in that vein, another question. I attempted to select training current. It turned green. It's not doing anything else. Did I miss something?
You did not. You have completed the verification process. Once it's turned green, you are all set and there's nothing else that you need to do on your end.
Okay. And then,
I can jump back in, Harley.
okay, you
Back
ready?
with the flow. Yeah.
She's not really Nikki Brindle. She is
Oh,
Carla. Go
really
ahead,
sorry,
Carla.
everyone. My internet kicked me out. Okay, Jackie, is there a way to automate a notification to come to the district office when someone completes a calibration course?
So unfortunately, at this time, there isn't a way to automate a notification to be sent to the coordinators. But as Arlene stated before, there is a process to where you can complete on the AST site for reporting access up to 3 people. And you would complete that. It takes about 48 hours for it to update the user's account to have those reporting access. But once that's complete, that is a way that you're able to go in at any time and check what your court or your test examiners have completed.
Okay. And one more for you, Jackie. I have a foreign name who is not part of our district, shows up on my verification list. Should I be concerned about that?
Definitely email us at moodlesupport@scoe.net and we can look into that more and resolve any issues that might be appearing.
Okay. And Arlene, gonna do one more for you and then try to close out here.
Sure thing.
Just to confirm, in my case, one of the two LEA coordinators completed the certification for 2025-26. Does that mean we can just complete the verification for 2026-27 since one of us already did the training? Also, does it matter if one coordinator is listed as a primary in TOMS?
Okay, so the answer to the first question is yes, you can just complete verification. So whoever it is that did the 25-26 LEA certification last year, select that person's name on the AST site for verification, and you are done. Now, the caveat is that person still needs to be in their LPAC role. So if they've gone off to another department, then no, you can't check there. But if they're still the LPAC LEA coordinator, they're still functioning in that LPAC role, then yes, that is all you need to do for this year. And then I think I understand this question. If I don't, then I want you to email us. But as far as does it matter if one coordinator is listed as the primary in TOMS? I think what you're asking is that the person that has to be checked off, or is that the person that needs to complete LEA certification? And the answer is no. It needs to be one of the LEA coordinators that are functioning in an LPAC role or a designee for that person. So it could be a head LPAC trainer, right? That is not the coordinator, but you have designated that person to be responsible for all of your LPAC training. You want that person to complete certification. That can be the case. So they don't have to be listed as the primary coordinator in TOMS. But if that wasn't your question, I want you to email us at lpac@scoe.net so I can answer it. Okay, are we ready to take us home, Carla?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to close out. You can give some reminders about the questions and things like, and the upcoming Q&A. The
Okay,
next Q&A.
the next
You can
Q&A.
go to the next screen, Dina, if you want.
Okay, so first, I know we didn't answer everyone's questions, and you had some good ones here. Again, we'll get them answered. And I know there was one about the initial alternate LPAC that we intentionally didn't answer because there's a Q&A for initial alternate LPAC coming up on May 19th, just in 2 weeks. That will also be from 3 to 4. And again, just like for this Q&A, you can register on the CAASPP and LPAC website, and that one will also be recorded. Okay. And then our next
Exactly. And Dina, if you go to the next slide.
Okay. So again, if you asked a question today and you need to know the answer right now, then email us. For questions about Moodle or that AST site or verification, go ahead and email us at moodlesupport@scoe.net. If you have questions about training or administration or scoring, email us at lpac@scoe.net. And if you're not sure where your question falls, just email one of those. We'll get it. We'll answer it. If you have LPAC policy questions, you're going to want to email the CDE at lpac@cde.ca.gov. Okay.
Yes, and you
And
can expect to receive responses to your questions in 24 hours. It's usually sooner.
yes, yes, it is. All right. Do we have another slide?
I think it's a thank you slide.
The thank you slide. Thank you all for joining us. This recording will be posted in Moodle. It takes about a week and a half for us to get it up and posted, so you can be looking for it there. It will be in both of the trainer resources courses in the initial LPAC Moodle course. Thank you and have a great day.
Bye, everyone.